Hi family and friends, welcome back to Small Stuff Farm, where we don't sweat the small stuff, we raise it. We raise miniature cows, miniature horses, and coon pigs, as well as coon cross pigs with Duroc and other breeds. When I started this channel, my intention was to do a lot of homesteading stuff and a lot of baking and cooking, and over the course of the first few months, I got very involved in doing children's videos, which I will continue to do. But I wanted to let you know that my main focus is going to be on homesteading and baking and cooking and sharing some of my experiences, the things that I like to make, the things I like to do, the animals here on the farm, and the different things that we do to increase our income, including using Swimply, which is a pool rental service where we rent our pool out, and then also Hip Camp, where people can come and stay on the farm for a day, a weekend, a week, whatever they choose. And I'll put links to both of those down below if you're interested. But I just want to make this much more about homesteading and what we do here at Small Stuff Farm. I will still be doing my Christian music and some of my other music videos. Those will be on a separate channel, and I will continue to do my kids videos, but it's going to be more about homesteading. So today we've got a lot in store, and we're going to be baking bread. We're going to be preparing our seasoned salt for the freeze dryer. And all of those things will be on this video so that you have sort of a plethora. And I just hope you'll like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you know when the next ones are coming out. We will be going to a family reunion this coming week, so I may be a little slow in getting out a second or third video, but I do promise you that I will get these videos out at least once a week from now on, based on the farm, the homestead, the garden, the animals, and all the things that we're doing here at Small Stuff Farm. So come along, enjoy the adventure, and I hope that you will continue to watch and subscribe. So I'm back, and I'm getting ready to make an artisan bread, but this bread is also jalapeno cheese bread. So I'll be walking you through it. I'll give you the recipe. It's very simple. It's the simplest bread you'll ever make. You can make it without the extra ingredients of the jalapenos and the cheese. You can make it just bread. It's the same recipe, just without those ingredients. You can also add everything bagel seasoning, and that makes it an everything bagel bread. I usually put onion with that as well because it's super, super good that way. But right now I've got some hot water running in the sink because I want the water for my yeast to be very warm, and we're going to get started right now with our artisan bread jalapeno cheese. So as I said, this is a super, super easy recipe. We're going to use all-purpose flour, and we need 3 cups of that. So I'm just going to pour it out of my jar here. That's 2 cups, and a 3rd cup. This is a pretty forgiving bread. If you go a little over, it's not going to hurt it any. And to that 3 cups of flour, we're going to add, I'm going to go a little heavier on my yeast because it is a little cold. Normally I would put in a 1/4 teaspoon, but this time I'm going to put in a 1/2 teaspoon of yeast, and I'm using this active dry yeast that I keep in the refrigerator. I bake a lot, so it's perfectly fine. And then I'm going to add to that 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, and I put that right over the yeast because I don't want it to, I don't want the salt to hit the yeast. And then we're going to put in a full teaspoon of kosher salt, and I just have this in this container. It's marked kosher salt. And we're going to put a full teaspoon in, but you want to put it somewhere not right up against the yeast because salt will kill yeast. And that's it for the ingredients other than the water, the jalapenos, and the cheese. You want to gently mix this together, and I always press the yeast down in first because I want it protected. And we're just going to mix this. And I'll tell you, this bread is so easy to make. All you need is the ingredients and a spatula and ready to get it in the oven. It takes 3 hours to proof it. And to this, we're going to add 1.5 cups of hot water. Now, I don't mean boiling water. I mean hot tap water is perfectly fine. And you're going to add 1.5 cups. So that's 3 cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of yeast, 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt for flavor, and 1.5 cups of water. And you're just going to mix this around. It's going to come out to be what's called a raggy type dough, which is fine. Scrape your sides, get all that flour in there. You see, I'm getting all that flour off the bottom. I don't want anything left that isn't incorporated. And it's going to be, like I said, sort of a raggy dough. You do not have to put this in a warm place to rise it. I do put mine in the microwave to rise because it's a draft free. And that's it. No kneading, no mess, no fuss. And there is that beautiful dough. And we're just going to put a plate over this and put it in the microwave to proof. And we will be back in about 3 hours to finish this bread. So I will see you then. So while the bread is proofing, we're going to chop our jalapenos. Now some of these I will de-seed because otherwise the bread will be way too spicy for some people. So I am going to take some of the seeds out. Note the gloves. So where your heat is in these jalapeno peppers is in the seed and the membrane here. And so you want to peel these out, not all of them, but a good number of them because, again, that's going to make your bread way too spicy. And baking it does kind of take some of that heat out, but not all of it. So about half of them I will de-seed, and then I'll take these seed pods and I will pull the seeds out of them so that I have planting seeds. Which it works out really nice. And since this is going into the bread and it's going to be chopped, I can just cut these in half and then I'll chop them up for in the bread. And then we will put some on the outside of the bread as well. So I'm going to finish chopping these up, or cutting these open and taking the seeds out, and I'll be back. Okay, I have as many de-seeded as I want. I have saved some pieces that look really nice. These are de-seeded as well, but these will go on top of the bread just to make it pretty and fancy. In the meantime, I'm going to take all of these pieces that I've sliced in half. Again, I've de-seeded some of them, but not all of them. And we're just going to chop these up small to go in the bread. And they'll be mixed with cheese. I like using cheddar cheese. It's very tastes really good with this, and it's got better flavor than, for instance, mozzarella. Now, mozzarella would help, you know, with stickiness and holding things together, but in bread you really don't need to worry about that. So all I'm doing is chopping these up fine so that when the bread is out for the next time, when we roll it one more time, these will all be ready to go. And I try to get these fairly small. I don't want big hunks for people to, you know, bite down into a big hunk of jalapeno. And it's prettier if you've got a lot of green going all the way through. So we're going to some friends tonight for dinner, and we have game night about every other Saturday. And so we'll be going over there. And in the meantime, they did ask me to bring my famous jalapeno cheese bread. So that's why we're going to go ahead and make this today. And it should be fun. It should be fine. But you see, I've cut these up pretty fine. Again, I want it to go all the way through the bread, not just in a couple of spots. So that's ready, and then all of these pieces will go on top to make it pretty. And next we will grate our cheese. So moving along, we're going to grate our cheese. I do use a little bit of the pepper jack. I don't use a lot of it because, again, we've got a lot of jalapenos in this bread. But I like a little bit because it adds a little extra flavor. So we'll do a little bit of the pepper jack. And then I'm going to come right in behind that with some nice medium or sharp cheddar. I like medium for this bread. Again, it's already sharp enough with the jalapeno, but I like a lot of cheese. And, whoops, ooh, I wasn't ready for that, but luckily we didn't lose any cheese. And so this will be the cheese that goes inside our jalapeno cheese bread. And it's a pretty good amount of cheese. I like it pretty cheesy. Everybody that I know of likes it cheesy. And so then I just mix this around, kind of get it all incorporated. And so there we have our cheese, and we have our jalapenos, and we have our sliced jalapenos for the top. And this can just sit here. I'll cover it, of course, but this can just sit here and wait until our bread is done rising. And then we'll be back to continue the process. Okay, I'm back, and I am getting ready to set my oven at 450 degrees so that I can punch down this bread and let it rest for about 15-20 minutes before we bake it. So let me show you how I set up my oven, because we're going to do this in a Dutch oven. I cleaned my counter really well, and we are going to put some fresh flour out on it, because this is, like I said, a raggy dough, and so we definitely want to make sure we have. So we're back. This is my dough. It has done its little rise, and you can see it's still sort of raggy, shaggy, raggy dough. And I put some flour out here on my counter, and we're going to put this here. And you don't really want to knead the dough, but you do have to make it kind of into a not quite so wet. And then we're going to press it out, because I have to put in the cheese and the jalapenos, which we cut up earlier, as you saw. So what I want to do is, I don't want to roll it out like with a rolling pin. That tends to toughen bread. So I just want to kind of make it a little bit flatter. And I'm going to grab my jalapeno pieces that we cut earlier. And I forgot to put my gloves on again, so I'll just deal with it this time because I'm kind of in a time crunch. This has to be ready for our dinner tonight at some friend's house, so I like a lot of jalapeno in this jalapeno bread. I'm just gonna kind of press it in so that it stays put. And we're gonna follow that with the cheese. And again, I like a lot of cheese in this bread. So we wanna make sure we press that in. Now the cheese will add some oil as well, but that's okay because we didn't add any oil to the actual dough when we put it together. So I just wanna press it in a little bit more. That looks pretty good. And then rather than just making a ball, we're kind of roll this into itself and roll it again, pull this all together, and then we're going to tuck it under, just like that. We're going to get our olive oil. So I have my Dutch oven in the oven. It has to be preheated before the bread goes in. And I leave the lid off. It also has to be hot, but it's much easier then for me to get the bread inside the Dutch oven without having to remove the lid first. I'm going to set this at 450 degrees. And while that's starting, we're going to come over here and I'm going to get the bread punched down and all the goodies added to it, and that's where we'll take you from here. So I like to take a little olive oil, brush over the top. Not only does this make it crusty, which you always want your artisan bread to be crusty, but you also have to remember that we're going to put these lovely jalapenos on top, and that helps kind of secure them. Olive oil also adds a really nice flavor, so, and I just like to put these on top, not only because it makes it look nice, but then it reminds me that this is actually jalapeno bread and I don't serve it to somebody who doesn't like spice. So we're going to take this loaf and we're going to put it in our bowl again, and this is just going to sit for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it's going to rise. Again, just a little bit. It does not have to double in size. This is an artisan bread, so it's just going to fluff up a little bit. We're going to cover it with a towel and let it rest, and then we'll come back and put it in the oven. So you can see it hasn't quite doubled in size, but it has risen some. Jalapenos look good. We're on our parchment paper. We're going to pull this out. Now this has been heating to 450 degrees. You want parchment paper and all to go into your Dutch oven. Put the lid on. This is how they do it in restaurants. This is so it steams the bread. And now we're going to set our timer for 30 minutes. That's going to cook at 450 for 30 minutes. Then you're going to reduce the heat to 400 degrees, take the lid off, take the parchment paper out from underneath it, and let it cook so that it gets a nice crust on it for an extra 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll be back. So my timer went off. We're going to now take the lid off of this. Take a look at that. Now we have about 5 minutes more. I'm going to take the lid out because it does absorb heat. And we're going to lower our heat. We're going to hit cancel and then bake, and we're going to lower it to 400. And we're going to do it for 5 minutes. And when we're done, we're going to have beautiful jalapeno cheese artisan bread. And I'll show it to you in 5 minutes. So our timer went off. I'm going to turn it off, and now we get to look at this beautiful bread. Oh my goodness. Check this out. This is gorgeous. Let me cut off my oven, and I'm going to pull this out. Ooh, it doesn't want to come out. Looks like a couple of our jalapenos slid off, but we'll just pop them back on top. It'll be all right. And that is our lovely artisan bread. Now, I want you to listen close. That's what you want. You want that nice crust on the outside. And that bread on the inside is just so tender and good. It's so delicious. So there you go. That is our artisan bread for today. And we will be taking that to dinner with some friends tonight. And I'm sure they will love it.